What's up, people? It's your boy Jatwa. I'm here today in Flyout, and this game is another building flight sim, and my daughter absolutely seems to enjoy it because she likes airplanes. So we're here today to kind of go over how this game kind of works and do a quick build and kind of show off what their progress so far. This is one of the games I think there was another game at one point in time called Flyout Game, and I'm wondering if this is the same one that I was tracking a while back, which might be pretty interesting. So I remember seeing that there was a game for airplanes that lets you snap together crafts and build really complex things. And when I say complex, I mean you can tweak the engines, you can tweak the wheels, you have procedural wings, procedural fuselage, you have procedural everything you can proceduralize. And we're currently doing an airplane chant here, are we not, little girl? But yeah, this actually was what you're seeing right here. So let me try that again. This is my second airplane that I ever built in the game, and this was done after my first airplane that I have been chipping away at completely failed because I realized that I was doing a lot of the builds wrong. I tried to go completely procedural, and this time I decided, I was going to try to stick with the more built things. So this was my second aircraft, and I was stunned that it got off the ground. I still have much to learn about this game, but I wanted to show you guys the build process and the flying and some of the trials and tribulations that I had. Just like this landing that I decided I was going to stick on the runway, but of course I overshot. This is probably due to a very poor tail design, to be completely honest. And I slammed into the ground several times, and my suspension, thank goodness, holds up. And I touched down ever so gracefully, question mark? And B for brakes. So let me show you how this all got started. Alright, so I decided to go ahead and start completely over and see how long it took me to build an airplane. So this is like the fast forwarded version of this, and I'll give you a quick synopsis of the build breakdown as I go along. So, you start off with a cockpit, you start off with a command seat, and then you slap a cockpit over top of it. I went with the extrude method, so I got a procedural cylinder out, and from there I just kind of reshaped it. This is kind of the easy way that I saw how to do this, so that's what I went with. So I reshaped it, got it back to a point, pulled it back, and flared it up, and there you go. There's your improvised body. That's one of the great things about the game. It's very powerful when it comes to its procedural generation. So you can actually go in there, you can reshape it in almost any which way form you want. This is amazing, and it's going to lead to some really fantastic designs in the long run. But for me right now, since I was going for speed, I just kind of left it like that. The wings are kind of the same. You can bring them out, you can reshape them, you can add more points, but I went for a really quick, simple, short design. So there you go. That's the way it works. You're kind of probably wondering, okay, where is he going to add in his control? So from there, I went and found the way that I was able to make it work. I grabbed these little joints, and these joints right here are like actuators. So you take them, you snap them on your wings, and then you add another wing to the other end of it, and then you can set it if you wanted to do yaw, if you wanted to do roll, you wanted to do pitch, or you can do a combination of the three in any which way you would like. And then from there, you go ahead, snap your wings on, and now you have a control surface. Everything is super customizable, once again resizable. I didn't know I could resize these joints, so they are giant white joints in the middle of my craft. But hey, it's easier to see them. So I learned that after the fact, after I, my fourth craft I decided to build. But I like to have everything kind of stuck back here, like you see. So I tucked it all back, and it all worked exactly the way I expected it to. Well, you know, you just snap it on back, and now I have this giant control surface on my wing. That's going to come really nice and handy when I am trying to design future crafts. I just kind of really wish I had that center of pressure so I could figure out how this craft was going to react as I try to do these giant wings on here, or these giant control surfaces. But anyhow, pushing on, ignoring the fact that I don't have that, I just kind of put it to the end of that joint and then just drag it back. If it does collide, I haven't seen it cause an effect unless it collides to the ground, in which it will explode in a quite hilarious fashion at the moment. But that is what you have. Games in Alpha 4, you're not going to expect to see these wonderful, beautiful explosions, even though, you know, in KSP2 you do have some pretty nice explosions. They just kind of take you away from it. This is one of my favorite things right here that this game really nails, is how customizable the landing gear is. Look at that. I can actually extend it. I can resize the wheels. I can I can control every single aspect of that landing gear, and it's fantastic. Even the engines can be expanded. It's like you're having tweak scale bundled into the entire game and its stock, and that is exactly what I hoped KSP2 would do. But hey, here you are in Flyout. So that's my craft. Took me about 15 minutes, and here we are on my test run. Now, this is like take 4 or 5 of my test run because I'm still learning how to do the engine setup. Engine setup is a little complicated at times. If you want a really simple engine, you can do that like I did here. I just kind of slapped the engine on there, resized it, and it works. You can fly around. I did learn that I needed to turn up my engine idle, because when I had the engine idle going before, is like at 0.25 or something, it would cut off before I could get myself up to throttle. So that was a thing. But here you can see it's the craft likes to nose down a little bit. That is a little concerning. So I was like, okay, I need to figure a way to rebalance this craft without a center of pressure, with only a center of mass, to kind of see how I can make this thing fly a bit more steady without having to feather the controls. I know in reading some of the guides that's on their Discord that there are ways that you can actually go in there, you can set up the controls a little better. I did end up remapping all my controls so it reacted the way that Kerbal Space Program does, and that made flying for me a lot easier. After I did that, I was able to do things like, hey, buzz the tower and whatnot, and it was, well, it's as much fun as you can get because the world's a little barren. It's like procedurally generated, and it's there. So what does that mean? It would be pretty cool if they had procedural generation along with some towns. That would be pretty cool in the long run, to see some procedurally generated towns popping up and you could fly through them. I think I would really enjoy this. For some reason, not many games that deal with flight actually have procedurally generated towns, and it's kind of a shame. I really hope that in the future more games will embrace that. So yeah, anyhow, I take this craft back so I can try to rebalance it. And yeah, when I do that, absolute chaos happens. Too much lift in the front, and it noses all the way up. So that didn't work. I ripped off those nosies, moved my little dovetail back a bit, and then flight was a little better, but it was still a little bit wonky. But it works. That's all I can say. It works. It's pretty stable, and I was able to kind of get the craft into the air. I was for a while trying to figure out how I can get my gear to retract, but I guess I can't remember if that was a thing or not. But anyhow, I have my craft flying through the air ever so gracefully. This is not a bad beginner craft to kind of learn the systems. I've seen people have some really beautiful designs, and I could have probably buzzed that tower a little bit better than I did there. But this design doesn't allow me to do that as gracefully. So next up, I wanted to see what the clouds look like. because when you go into the game, you know, there's some clouds in KSP1 and KSP2, and it's like, hey, I kind of want to see what that looks like in the game. So I decide, hey, let's go ahead, go into the clouds, and well, they're clouds. They look pretty nice. It doesn't really compare to how Blackrack did in KSP1, but hey, it's really hard to do that because Eve is a fantastic mod. But anyhow, look forward to me doing a quick build on how I got my craft into the air, but I hope to catch you guys in the next video. For now, it's been your boy Jatois. This is Flyout, and thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.